Good afternoon. The time is 4:00 p.m. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Public Safety Committee. I'm your chair, Dan Syme. I'm joined today by the following committee members: Barbara Shanklin, Ken Herndon, Anthony Piagentini, Jenny Mulvey-Woolridge. Do we have any on virtual? Clerk, will you please read the virtual meeting language?
This meeting is being held pursuant to KRS 61.826 and Council Rule 5A, read in full.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. We've got 4 items on the agenda that include 1 discussion item and 3 pieces of legislation. Please note we'll discuss item number 2 following the special discussion. Item number 3 and item number 4 will be held in committee and heard at our next meeting. Today, we're joined by Amanda Carpenter with Louisville Metro Police, and she's here to provide an update on school crossing guards. Ms. Carpenter, would you please come in and state your name, title on record, and you may begin, please.
Hi, I'm Amanda Carpenter, and I am the traffic guard supervisor.
I'm Sergeant Michael Torres. I'm also a supervisor over the traffic guards.
You may begin, please. Thank you.
So just to provide an update, right now, our staffing, we're holding at 78. Full-time employees, we're authorized 112. Going into the school year, it looks like we're going to have 321 school posts to cover. Right now, with the personnel that we have, we currently are going to have 56 school posts opened. But if we go off of our schedule of last year, we're still contacting the traffic guards. We have 23 of the 56 school posts going to be covered because our traffic guards are picking up extra school posts.
Do you have any questions in the queue? Anthony Piagentini, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So several years ago, it was Councilman Winkler and I sponsored a ordinance, changed the code and ordinance to allow for your department to work with third parties to fill some of these vacancies. The intention was for either us to look at third-party like staffing agencies and others that have pipelines of people who are looking for part-time work, for example. They would still need to go through our training and all of this, right, paid, right, we would still pay for it. But ultimately that we could contract with these groups to help fill the gaps or work with, for example, suburban cities. And I'll pick on one example. It used to be in my district, it's not anymore, but Crosby Middle School sits right in the middle of Douglas Hills. We got emails and phone calls from many constituents there who were like, hey, I'm retired, I would be glad to direct traffic, right, and help the crossing guards and all that stuff and go through the training and, and they were totally open to part-time job. The problem was if they went through the Metro system, right, if they were hired directly, then there's all these rules on seniority and and they can't fill it. And so we opened up the opportunity to have these third parties which can bypass some of those issues. So where we do have openings, we can say, hey, I can commit that this person will be dedicated to Crosby Middle or whatever. I'm picking the school, it doesn't matter what school it is. How many organizations and who have we partnered with to at least pilot, if nothing else, or attempt to fill these gaps through some of these arrangements?
So when the proposal was posted for a third party to have the opportunity to bid on that opportunity to come in and assist with our needs, we only had one agency put in, and they did not meet the criteria that we needed. We've also hit some red tape on that because the traffic guards are covered under a collective bargaining, that there was going to be specifics of if we pay them more, are we violating their contract? And then who supervises this third party? Our traffic guards, they have to follow under our SOP and then our disciplinary. We can't discipline a third party. We cannot, if they don't show up to work, what grounds do we have to reprimand them when our traffic guards are coming in and having to follow under a different set of rules? So we also navigated possibly with JCPS having the teachers step in and assist. But again, we're paying those teachers more than our traffic guards, and that could be violating their contract. And then we had an issue of, with the retirement program, the teachers are paying into the KRS, just like our traffic guards are. So we didn't know if there would be any red tape behind that as well. So
Okay, I want to explain how this sounds to any of my constituents who are listening right now. There's a bunch of government-made-up rules that are preventing us from having traffic guards at these places where traffic guards are identified and needed, okay? I'm not saying I'm not saying that you have control of this because you clearly don't, right? So this is not a hit on you. I'll just be super clear.
I understand.
Yeah, this is more like higher level, the administration needs to start knocking these issues down, okay, one at a time. I don't know what our traffic guards are paid right now off the top of my head, right? I'm open to what they need to be paid. We're talking about a very small number of employees, and if there's that much of a differentiator on temp staff versus them. The other thing is, we didn't say necessarily that it had to be RFP'd. I get that we have certain procurement processes, but there are also, even in individual cases, we do have the opportunity to do single source agreements. So for example, if Douglas Hills had somebody that they could have dedicated to that particular place, we could do a single case agreement, because I can guarantee it, that wouldn't meet the threshold of having to procure it out. You could also do a justification that wouldn't require us to bid it out. So we can get past a lot of these barriers if there's the will to get past it. Because I'm not going to pull up the video again, but when this was all done, and I'm going to speak on behalf of my friend and colleague, Councilman Winkler here, but we had an instance in his district where, in Anchorage, where because of the train tracks and how they cross right next to the school, they have guards on both sides typically. They didn't have a guard on one of the sides, and a kid got hit by a car, and I mean thrown off his bike. Luckily, it was just bumps and bruises and scrapes. But it easily could have been a head injury, could have been dragged under the vehicle, all kinds of things could have happened, and it had everything to do with us not having a traffic guard there. And that was years ago, and that was one instance in one school, one traffic guard post. So, so I'm just making this clear for the administration. If we can't cycle this up to the chief, to Deputy Mayor David James, to whoever is responsible for this, and I'm not calling him out, I don't know if he is, I know the chief is, and then the mayor is ultimately. If we can't start navigating some of these things and start making a dent in this, or get a strategy to get past this, I mean, at this point, I'm just getting tired of talking about it, right? And I refuse to believe there's no solution, because there has to be a solution. And if it requires us to go to the state to get some state legislation clarified, I'd be the first one marching down to Frankfurt to get that clarified for us. So I'm just going to ask to take a second look at how we can get creative on third-party organizations, and not waiting for them to come to us going to them and saying, hey, we need people, can suburban cities help out, can these other groups help out, how can we navigate that legally, get JCO, the county attorney's office working on this, right, let's act with a solutions mindset to get to yes, to get to we can do this, as opposed to, and again, I'm not saying you're saying this, but so we don't hear back the message of, well, there was a procurement process, and then there was, we don't know about the thing here, and we don't know about this problem. Let's solve it, right? So I'm just advocating for us to get to that solution and get creative on that. Thank you.
And I can just share, since we have settled the contract last year with the pay increase, we have seen an increase. We've actually hired 7 traffic guards last year, but unfortunately, on the flip side, we had 4 resign or retire. So we are seeing an increase in applications, and we have 6 in the holding pattern right now as well.
Thank you, Councilman. I wanted to note that we've been joined in chambers by council members Jeff Hudson, Jonathan Joseph, Betsy Rui, and online by Councilwoman Shamika Parrish-Wright. Next in queue is Jenny Mulvey-Woolridge, please.
Thank you, Chair. And great to hear about the hiring. That leads into one of my questions here. So what is the hiring process like, and does it seem to be working now? And on the flip side, what are the impediments that you're seeing?
So the traffic guard program, they have to apply. We do the background investigation on them, and they also have to pass a polygraph. So once they pass that polygraph, we put them through a 4-week training. And then once they're trained, we can deploy them to the field. So it's basically where we're seeing some of our hiccups right now is the follow-through with the polygraph.
And then how is it determined which spots are and are not eligible for coverage? And is there a policy that's in place right now?
So it's in their contract that they can bid on the school posts that they're interested in based on the availability that they can travel from post A to point B, and then it's based on seniority. So contractually, we cannot assign a traffic guard once they bid or remove that traffic guard from a post once they bid on it and they're awarded it.
Anything that council can help with on getting these spots filled?
Right now, we're just pushing recruitment out heavily. I've reached out to several members to see if you all would assist also with posting the hiring QR code for us, just to put it out. I'm working a lot of special events also to push out recruitment. We're just trying to get the word out there that we're hiring. And we are actually working with, I had a meeting today where we might be looking at going into several schools and trying to reach the kids who are in the law enforcement program or the RLTC program to see if we can get them into Metro government, but that's still in the early works.
Thank you.
Next is Councilmember Ken Herndon, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Question, out of ignorance, are crossing guards part of LMPD?
Yes, sir.
Technically?
All traffic guards are employed under LMPD.
Okay, I just thought so, but when Chief Humphrey was here through one of the hearings last week, we were talking about the gap of 250 officers that need to be filled. And I asked a question about hiring from without, but also pushing up from within and not using highly paid, highly trained officers for these kinds of duties. And did he not say that the state law prohibits that from being passed on to outside groups? Because I know some states allow that. I thought that's what he said. Is that not correct? Councilman Knight, you may know better than me, but sure.
Sure.
Thank you. So we looked at this extensively when we passed that ordinance. So for example, most of our collective bargaining agreements prohibit outsourcing what is withheld within that collective bargaining agreement to third parties. That is not the case in the case of the traffic guard collective bargaining agreement. It does not explicitly prohibit that.
Okay.
So that's why we can, it's one of the very, very few unique circumstances where we can engage with third parties to sort of backfill. Now, we were clear that the intention was not to reduce the amount of we don't want, it's not to reduce the amount of union employees that we have, but it is to, if we have these holes, fill them on a temporary basis until we can hire people full-time. But
Okay, that just covers the crossing guards?
correct, that really, I can't speak for any other department, but I can speak for the crossing guards, at least at that time. The county attorney's office was very clear that we're permitted to do that for that area, but other collective bargaining agreements are far more explicit where we cannot do those types of arrangements.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
I have nobody else in the queue. Councilwoman Wright, any comments? No comments. No more speakers. Thank you very much for your time, and stay safe. We appreciate you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate you. Thank you.
Clerk, please read item number 2 into the record.
An ordinance amending the Louisville Metro Code of Ordinances, Section 72.062 concerning stolen vehicle retrieval at the Metro Government Tow Lot. Read in full.
The item's been properly moved by committee members. Councilman Jeff Hudson is the sponsor of this ordinance. I believe we have Lieutenant Colonel Corey Robinson attending on behalf of LMPD. Councilman Hudson, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Chair. This ordinance came about as a result of recognizing some unintended consequences of the original ordinance. The way that the system works without this ordinance is if your car gets stolen, you have to be the one to come pick it up. And there are just some very legitimate reasons why sometimes that's onerous. For example, if you live in California and you send your kid to the University of Louisville and you own the car that your kid is using while they're here and it gets stolen, you got to get a plane ticket and come to Louisville to get your car out of the impound lot. So what this ordinance does is add a designee, and I think the official language is other person entitled to possession. And there are a list of things that define other person entitled to possession, to be able to come in and retrieve the car and get the fees waived. And I'll hand it over to our guest here to amplify any answers to any questions. Or I'd be glad to answer any questions too.
Lieutenant Colonel Corey Robinson from the Admin Bureau from LMPD, so I'm able to answer any questions you have.
I have a question, Mr. Chair.
Councilwoman Wright, please.
Apologies, and thanks for recognizing me for the last question. I was just going to ask them, can they send me the QR code, but I couldn't unmute. But we would like to share about those openings. So my question is, the biggest thing was just adjusting the language. has this been on hold, or was this already passed? Forgive me for not having my notes with me. What is the biggest change? Is it what Councilman Hudson just expressed, makes it where someone else can pick up the car?
Can I address that, Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So it adds language, for example, I'll refer to section 72.062, subsection E, where it says, upon payment of all charges and presentation of proper identification, proof of ownership, or entitlement of possession. Or entitlement of possession is the new language. So it says the owner of the car or a designee, someone that the owner of the car designates on their behalf to come and get the car. So does that answer your question?
It does, and that to me is inclusive for people who unfortunately have lost their loved ones and they have to go get the vehicle. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to say something about this. We did an ordinance on the tow lots about a year and a half ago. I was in a car accident, and I couldn't move, and they towed my car and sent my father to pick it up, and they wouldn't let him have it. So thank you for this legislation, Councilman Hudson. It's needed, and I don't see anybody else in the queue.
Mr. Chair, can I also just add on?
Yes, sir.
I remember that event, and another event that precipitated it was my legislative assistant, John Torski, got his car stolen out of this parking lot right beside City Hall, and the next day went on a vacation and couldn't get his car back. So I think it's needed. Again, it was unintended consequences of the original ordinance that we're just shoring up. And I want to thank John for the work that he did in helping us get to this point.
Thank you, Councilman. I don't see any other speakers in the queue. Hearing none, there are no speakers. The ordinance requires a roll call vote. Clerk, please open the roll call.
Voting's open. Committee Member Parrish Wright.
Yes.
Voting closing. Chair Simon, you have 8 yes votes.
The ordinance passes and will be sent to old business or consent. Which one, consent? Consent for the next council meeting. Officers, thank you very much. Stay safe out there. We appreciate your work. Any other business from the members? Hearing none, our next regularly scheduled Public Safety Committee meeting will be held Wednesday, July 23rd at 4 p.m. Thank you for your time today. Having no further business before us, we stand adjourned.